NFL playoffs are still going.
God damn, we're gonna get copyright issues.
Yeah, I didn't finish off the beat, so they don't really know which beat I was gonna get to. James, our football professional, playoffs full go. Great games last week. Great games upcoming. What do you got?
Yeah, we're going to do this exact same thing as we did last week, guys. It was very well reviewed. People loved it. They liked the debate. So we're doing the exact same thing. First and foremost, I just want to say, there were a lot of good games. The one game I didn't like was the Saints-Bears game.
Oh.
That one was boring as shit. That took forever. I almost didn't even finish it. What did you guys think about that game?
I love Jimmy Graham just running straight to the locker room after he get a sick one-handed catch to finish the game. That was meaningless.
James, I gave you an over-under for time on the game before, which was under the time I gave you. And then to back up the next game with that, with that slow of a game was tough.
It was disgusting. Tyler, Alex, what do you guys think of that game?
It was the only game that I didn't watch a single minute of. So I'm glad that was the one I missed.
Nice. I just got the second half of that one. Not too bummed that I missed part of it. Not gonna lie. And I checked at halftime and it was 7-3. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Super, super boring. We'll talk about the Saints later. But today, the first matchup we're going to go with is the number 1 seeded Green Bay Packers versus the number 6 seeded Los Angeles Rams. We're going to start with offense. A lot of people were very surprised at how successful this Packers offense is going to be, because during the offseason there was that growing rift that happened between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, and I think that lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass, because this guy came out firing this year. He's putting up MVP caliber numbers. He's an MVP candidate. He's probably the favorite to win the MVP award. He finished the regular season with 4,299 passing yards, completing 70.7% of them, and led the league with 48 passing touchdowns, along with 5 interceptions. His main weapons are Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Devontae Adams has 18 touchdowns with 1,347 yards, and Aaron Jones has the 4th highest amount of rushing yards with 1,104. The biggest gem or little surprise that the Green Bay Packers have offensively is tight end Robert Tonyan. The dude came up out of nowhere, and he's tied with Travis Kelce with 11 touchdowns for the most receiving touchdowns as a tight end. Overall, during the season, they ranked 5th in yards per game with 389 and 1st in points with 31.8. The Rams just beat the Seahawks. The Rams had a heavy reliance on the run game. Cam Akers finished the game with 28 carries and 131 yards. And I think this game plan was mostly because they had a backup quarterback in, but that backup quarterback almost broke his neck, and they had to put Jared Goff in. Jared Goff, fresh off thumb surgery 12 days ago, went in there and was wildly inaccurate. Honestly, the wide receivers made those plays happen because he was not throwing the ball well at all. He finished the day with going 9 for 19, 155 yards and 1 touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, the Packers defense is top 10 in the league in yards per game with 334, but 13th in points allowed with 23.1. Their strength lies in their pass defense, which is ranked 7th in the league. Cornerback Jair Alexander is the number 1 ranked cornerback in the league. Darnell Savage has 4 interceptions and 75 tackles. And on the season, the Packers have 42 sacks and 11 interceptions. The Rams, on the other hand, that is the best defense in the league, and they showed it against the Seahawks. They held the Seahawks to 26 yards in the first quarter. 26, that's it. I'm sure Alex would probably run more than 26 yards. Right, Alex?
Heck yeah.
They held Russ to 174 yards and 1 touchdown on the day. Honestly, it should have been way more interceptions, just because the Rams, they dropped so many of them. It was ridiculous. They held the running backs to a total of 82 yards. The biggest question mark, though, is Aaron Donald. Is he going to be healthy? He went out with a rib injury in the second half and never came back. He tried to a couple of times, but just stopped. He had 2 sacks in the first quarter, absolutely dominant. The Rams, as a total, had 5 sacks on the day. So, Eric, why are the Packers going to win?
I don't want them to, but they have one of the best quarterbacks ever. The Chico native, Aaron Rodgers. Anytime he is healthy, you have a chance. He's in the State Farm commercials. You've seen his arm when he throws that fucking ball way to the moon when the dog just misses it. They came up 1 game short of the Super Bowl last year. They're going to be hungry. They lost to your Niners, unfortunately. But he's got another powerful weapon. that you just mentioned, the name of Devontae Adams. This guy's definitely better and more of a challenge to cover than DK Metcalf. Jalen Ramsey is going to have his hands full. It's going to be a great matchup nonetheless. Aaron Rodgers is so good. He makes other random newer name receivers and tight ends shine. Guys like Lazard, Valdez Scantling, who I now have a fantasy grudge against because every time I had him on the bench, he would go off this year. Williams and Traden's guy, Tanyan. They also have another guy back there. You talked about him, Aaron Jones. Low-key, powerful, and explosive running back. He will eat up yards for your offense. And defensively, stat-wise, 6 different players this year for them have had at least one pick. That's a little sketchy going against the opposing 4-fingered QB Goff. And they are ranked 7th in pass defense. Their one weakness is they're 22nd ranked in rush defense, which could be a little hairy after seeing our guy Cam Akers last week, and even a possible healthy backup Henderson Jr. But I think they have just enough tools to get by the Rams.
Alex, why is Eric wrong, and why are the Rams going to win?
Yeah, so you're wrong, Eric, and that's a good thing because that means our Rams are going to win. And here's why. So first of all, Jalen can shut down Devontae Adams. I have note Devontae Adams is obviously a very talented wide receiver, but Jalen can shut him down. I'm not saying he's going to go 0 catches for 0 yards. He'll have some catches for sure. But if he's going to shut down that number one, where Aaron Rodgers will have to spread it out to the other guys, and I don't have as much faith in them. Also, Sean McVay did say that Aaron Donald will play, and even Aaron Donald at 80% is still the best defensive player in this league, no doubt. And he'll get after Aaron Rodgers, who is not the Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago, who is a little more mobile. He's more of a pocket passer now. And then going on to the offensive side, it all comes down to whether Jared Goff can keep the ball in the Rams' hands and not turn it over. The positive is, the Packers have a great pass defense, not a great run defense. Well, the Rams are a great run team, and they suck at passing. So it's kind of working out in the Rams' favor, where we're just going to run it a bunch, and they'll run it down the Packers' throats. The only worry, there's more than one, but a big worry that it is going to be cold. It's Green Bay. It's January. Jared Goff typically does not play well in cold weather. I mean, he's from California. He plays in Los Angeles. Doesn't really get cold there. So that is a bit of a worry, but I expect the Rams to come out ready to play. And I think they can win this game.
Eric, give a rebuttal.
Well, I kind of like the Rams, and kind of agree. And I kind of want the Rams to win, but shit, man, it's going to be a fucking battle. I think the one advantage maybe the Packers have is that cold weather factor. And, Goff, he's going to have another week of rest, but he's still not going to be 100%. And a non-100% Goff is a little sketchy. Maybe he should just throw it underhand or just, lateral it to Cam Akers the whole game or something. I don't know. But don't really have much of a rebuttal for Alex because, I got the Rams in my heart.
Okay. My final score for this game, I have the Packers winning 28 and the Rams having 24. Trade, what do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be a blowout, 37-20.
Oh, for
Packers.
what?
Who?
Packers, okay. Tyler.
Rams 20, Packers 16.
Eric.
Rams 20, Packers 17.
Okay. And Alex.
Rams 27, Packers 24.
Oh, okay. So we got 2 versus 3 here. That'll be a fun one to watch. Moving on to our second NFC matchup, we have the number 2 seeded New Orleans Saints, who just played the worst and most boring game of the playoffs so far, versus the number 5 seeded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On the offensive side, the Saints did exactly what they were expected to do against this Bears team. They controlled time possession with 38 minutes and 58 seconds. Drew Brees looked like he was playing backyard football. He was going out there just doing his thing, not caring the world. This Bears defense did nothing to him. He finished 28 for 39 for 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of Drew's biggest strengths is his football IQ. He does not make mistakes. Under high pressure situations, he'll get the ball where it needs to be, and that he's just really good at that. Alvin Kamara did exactly what he thought he was going to do. 23 carries for 99 yards and a touchdown. He also had 2 receptions and 17 yards. Michael Thomas, big storyline here, scored his very first touchdown of the season. He missed a couple games, but that was his very first touchdown. Crazy. He was supposed to be a number 1 ranked fantasy wide receiver.
God
Wasn't even
damn
close.
it.
Sorry, Alex.
And then another very pleasant surprise for the Saints was the emergence of wide receiver and return man Deontay Harris. This guy was all over the field. He had 7 targets and had 7 receptions for 83 yards. He was the guy this game. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they absolutely dominated on offense against the number 2 ranked defense. They had 507 total yards. Tom Brady went 22 for 40 for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns. Honestly, those numbers should be so much better, but Goodwin had like 7 drops. Speaking of Goodwin, who had 5 receptions on 12 targets for 79 yards and a touchdown, Mike Evans is healthy. Who would know? We had 6 receptions for 119 yards, and Antonio Brown had 2 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Another big storyline here is the running back room. Ronald Jones was a late scratch. He was supposed to start, but he had a quad injury, so he did not suit up or play at all. Leonard Fournette, though, took the reins. He's a former All-Pro. He did his thing. He looked really good. He looked like he was a rookie again. He had 19 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. On the defensive side, the Saints look really good. The Saints defense held the Bears to 9 points and 239 yards, but they only got 1 sack on Mitch Trubisky, and that's because they're missing their defensive end, Trey Hendrickson. He has 13.5 sacks in the year. He's a force to be reckoned with. Hopefully they get him back. Safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson was all over the field. He had 8 tackles. Cornerback Janoris Jenkins had 5 tackles and 1 pass deflection, but he struggled really, really hard. He struggled mightily against Allen Robinson. Granted, Allen Robinson's a great wide receiver, but you can't struggle like that against 3 elite wide receivers. Something to remember, though, this is the Saints defense that played against the Bears. The Bears are not a competent team. They're not a competent offense. They shouldn't be in the playoffs. So I don't know if these numbers are inflated. Are they really that good? I guess we'll find out this weekend. The Bucs, on the other hand, their defense came in the game and looked like they were just going through the motions. They wildly underestimated Heineke. The guy had 306 yards and a touchdown. He looked like a friggin' all-star out there. The Washington football team as a whole had 375 yards. The Bucs, on average, give up 327 yards. So they just laid back and let the Washington football team do their thing. It was crazy. As a whole, though, they have a really good running defense, and that has not changed. But they struggle to contain the edge, as we saw with all those outside runs and Taylor Heineke running outside for that touchdown. Tyler, why are the Saints going to win?
Yeah, I think the Saints this season against the Bucs have looked really good. I mean, they beat the Bucs twice this season on a combined score of 72-26. Now, granted, this is playoff Brady we're talking about, and it's a lot bigger task. But I think this Saints defense is where they're gonna play better against this Bucs team. Yes, both these teams had, quote unquote easy matchups in their first round. But I think that the Saints look just better overall, especially in the second half. So I think the Saints defense is going to play great. The offense needs to get off to a better start, though. I think that they're kind of still trying to get the groove back. Michael Thomas is coming back, but he got that touchdown. I think he's starting to feel a little better. So I think Breeze and this offense will do enough, and their defense will keep them in this ball game.
Traden, why is Tyler wrong, and why are the Browns going to win?
Yeah. The Bucs are going to win simply because of Tom Brady. And because guess what? They had the number 1 defense the number 1 running defense in the league this season. So if you can't establish a run game, you're not gonna move the ball very well. You're not gonna be able to get the game under your control. Yes, I do agree with you, James. The defense looked very sorry, very, very, very sorry, but the offense is clicking. Yes, they got mollywopped by the Saints this season, but Tom Brady in his years in the NFL has never had a team beat him in a playoff, in a whole series, in a whole season series, or he's never been shut out by a team in a season series. Does that make sense? So if he's going to play the Saints 3 times, he's not lost 3 times. He's won at least 1. He's never done that. He's been in the league for 20 years, and he's never done that. It's not going to happen. This is playoff. This is the playoffs. This is where it actually fucking matters. I don't care what happened in week 1. I don't care what happened in week 9. It's the playoffs, boys. They went for 507 yards. Kareem Hunt's going. Nick Chubb I'm sorry, Nick Chubb. Jesus Christ.
Wrong
Kareem
team.
Hunt's going. Antonio Brown. James, I told you, Antonio Brown was on fire. We haven't seen him on fire like that in a long time.
Wrong team.
Antonio Brown?
No, Kareem Hunt.
You said Kareem Hunt.
I'm all flip flopped here, but Antonio Brown's on fire. We haven't seen him on fire like this in a long time. So I just think that this team's just gonna beat them. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be a shootout, but it's not gonna be easy. Chris Godwin, you can't drop passes, bud. You can't. Yeah, you got to be better than that. But I think he's gonna be. He has the weapons. I just would be worried if I was the Saints. I hope that the Bears didn't lull you to sleep before you play the Bucs.
Tyler, do you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I mean, let's take a appreciation for this first matchup, Breeze versus Brady in the playoffs. Never happened before. It's going to be an amazing game, but there is a first time for everything, and Brady will get swept by the Saints.
Wow. Hey, this isn't a rebuttal, but did you guys see on Twitter the History Channel thing?
Yes, I
That
did.
looked hilarious.
That was so funny.
That was
So
fantastic.
hilarious, dude. Like Tom Brady has this long ass beard, and then you see this grizzled Drew Brees. It was absolutely hilarious, and it was actually retweeted by Tom Brady. So I mean, I think that's fucking awesome.
Okay. I have the Buccaneers winning with 41 points and the Saints having 38. Tyler, what do you think?
I got Saints 24, Bucks 20.
Wow. Okay. Eric,
14-10 Bucks win.
a lot of defense there. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Alex,
Saints 35, Bucks 31.
and Traden.
I have I have Bucks 31, Saints 26.
Okay. That's pretty close. A lot of defense from Eric. That's crazy, man.
That is a lot.
No, both quarterbacks are just going to do really bad.
They both get hurt. That'd be
No, they're
ridiculous.
just going to do bad.
Okay. Because they're old. Moving on to the AFC here. We have the number 1 seeded Kansas City Chiefs versus the number 6 seeded Cleveland Browns. The Chiefs have the best offense in the NFL, plain and simple. There's no really arguing that whatsoever. Andy Reid's a mastermind. He just makes up these plays, and it works. Mahomes has only played in 15 games this season, but he still came in second for highest pass yards in the league with 4,470. He also had 38 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The speedster, the cheetah, Tyreek Hill, 87 receptions for 1,276 yards and 15 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, the tight end, this guy's a monster. He had 105 receptions for 1,416 yards and 11 touchdowns on the year. His receiving total came in at second in the NFL, and he's a tight end. He's trailing just Stephon Diggs as a tight end. That's ridiculous. He's beating out every other wide receiver out there. The running back room is pretty stacked as well. They have a rookie in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a small, diminutive back, but he has a low center of gravity and he's very elusive and he's hard to take down. Backing him up is Le'Veon Bell, and he's looked good on the games that CEH has not played in. He looked like his all-pro self. He's catching the ball, he's running the ball, he's making patient moves, and it's working out really well. On the Browns side, it was a surprise that the Browns did as well as they did. Honestly, I had no idea they were going to do this well, especially without the head coach, Kevin Stefanski, and he's also the offensive play caller. So there was a lot going on, and he wasn't there for it. They dominated a top 3 defense in the Steelers. They put up 390 yards against a defense that averages 305. Baker Mayfield, he's more than just a game manager. Like, he went out there and he played and he won that playoff game for them. He went 21 for 34, 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb certainly played a huge part as well. He had 18 carries for 76 yards, while Kareem Hunt, who plays for the Browns, had 8 carries for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns. The O-line did a fantastic job of opening up these holes. I mean, the holes were so big that even Tyler could make it through it. And Tyler is pretty much the least athletic person on this podcast.
Ouch.
The biggest surprise.
Simply not true.
That is so true. I've seen you try to run, dude. No, you waddle. The biggest surprise, though, is Nick Chubb and his receiving. The dude went out there and caught 4 passes for 69 yards and a touchdown. That doesn't happen often, but if they can exploit that, he doesn't get tackled. He doesn't go down easily. If they can exploit that, get on the ball in open space, he might run for a touchdown every time. On the receiving side, Jarvis Landry continued his hot streak, having 5 receptions on 8 targets for 92 yards and a touchdown. And tight end Austin Hooper finally showed why he was worth that massive contract that he signed, with 7 receptions on 11 targets for 46 yards and a touchdown. On the defensive side, the Chiefs are in the middle of the league. They're smack dab in the middle at 16. They allow 358.3 yards per game. There's only one team, that's a playoff team, that allows more yards per game. Do you guys know who that is?
The Niners.
A playoff team, bro.
Browns.
The Browns? It is the Browns. The Browns, the team that they're playing, allow 0.1 more yard per game than they do. Their defense, though, is clutch. In key situations, they come up big. They make big stops. They're led by Tyrann Mathieu with 62 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 9 pass deflections, and defensive tackle Chris Jones with 36 tackles and 7.5 sacks. On the Browns, they only played okay defense against the Steelers. If you look at the stats, you're going to think I'm crazy for saying what I just said because they had 4 picks and defensive touchdown. But honestly, that defensive touchdown had nothing to do with the way they played defense. It was a snap that went over Big Ben's head, and Big Ben is too old to run that fast. So the defense has got the ball and fell in for a touchdown. Cool.
I
You didn't do anything for that. You could have done that. Exactly what I'm saying. The 4 picks, though, only 3 of them were really because of style defensive play. The other 4 is because Big Ben is old and throws to the opposing team. As a whole, they allowed 553 yards. I feel like that's a record. I didn't look it up. Recheck the facts. I didn't. Sorry. And middle linebacker B.J. Goodson has an AC joint sprain, so that's something to really keep track of to look at because he's the guy who calls the plays and makes sure everybody's in the right position. If he can't go, they're going to have somebody else for that position, and I don't know if the defense is going to be that good. Eric, or are the Chiefs going to win?
So I'm going to sound like a broken record. They have one of the best quarterbacks ever. Also in a State Farm commercial, Patrick Mahomes. Guy was just smothering ketchup on his steak in that commercial. This guy's kind of like a roach in a positive way. He just never goes away, always comes back, always shows up. And what about his weapons? You already talked about him. Guys like the fastest dude in the league behind Daniel Jones, a guy named Tyreek Hill.
Behind Daniel Jones?
Well, I think just because they measured Daniel Jones' speed when he fell because he was running so fast he tripped on his own feet. But he's probably faster than Daniel Jones.
Oh God!
But Tyreek Hill just somehow is like open every fucking play, and he seems like he never gets winded. And I think he's also Mahomes is kind of like Rodgers. He makes other guys shine. Guys like Pringle, Robinson, Watkins, even though he's a pretty good receiver and a known name, he's on the decline. Guys like Hardman, but his main weapon, Travis Kelce. Another guy just seems to be open no matter what, especially against teams like the Raiders in the fourth quarter. Kelce is just a weapon that's going to just contribute pretty much every play that Mahomes needs him to. And he's got his running backs too. Like you mentioned, Le'Veon Bell, he's picking up the slack. And I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This guy's a little grinder, gets the job done. Him and Le'Veon Bell are a good little tandem. I think they're starting to become a better tandem every week. And their defense, let's talk them, 11th in points per game, 14th in pass defense, 17th in rush defense. The rush defense may be their one little question against that running back tandem the Browns have, but their defense isn't going to need to worry when they're up 17 points in the third quarter and just continuing to dominate. And offense will take care of the job for the Chiefs.
Traden, why is Eric wrong, and why are the Browns going to win?
Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry. I apologize. You showed me up, and I'm proud to say that. I'll be honest. I think it's because OBJ wasn't a weapon for you because you didn't have to show him up. You didn't have to give him the ball. You didn't have to show that you're that amazing that you actually could have played your position the way that it was meant to be played instead of making OBJ look like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That said, that last game was on Kevin Stefanski. That sounds ridiculous, and here's why. He created a culture for that team, and this is the greatest metaphor I heard today. The dad left the house. When dad leaves the home, parties happen, crazy shit happens, unless you have a good culture in your home. And they cleaned the house. They didn't fucking have parties. They made the house look even fucking better than when dad left. And that's how you win football games. They looked very, very good. And so I love the running back tandem. I love Kareem Hunt. I love Nick Chubb. They don't have the Chiefs don't have the greatest defense when it comes to the rush. So I think it's going to be completely, their game, to win the game, they're going to have to outrun the team and find ways to make plays on Patrick Mahomes. But let's go back and look at the Kansas City Chiefs in the last 7 games with Patrick Mahomes. They haven't won by over 6 points in 7 games since he's been a quarterback for that team. He didn't play week 17. Also, he hasn't played for almost 3 weeks by the time the next game is going to come up. The kid is not that old. He does not need that kind of rest, and I think that is going to shoot them in the foot. He probably should have played a half of that game with the Los Angeles Chargers. We may see a team that comes in to their own home barn, just like the Steelers, and say, "Oh, it's the fucking Browns. We don't need to fucking play." And over Mahomes' head, and who fucking knows it? We're gonna see an early defensive touchdown. I know that's highly unlikely, but guess what, guys?
Make a bet, dude.
But guess what, guys? I am not unconditionally in love with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, it's very hard to vote against them, and when we do the scores, I'm probably gonna say the Chiefs will win realistically, but I am not. It's not a end all be all. They are not winning games against the Raiders, the Buccaneers, the Broncos, the Dolphins, the Falcons. I mean, Mahomes went 55% against the Falcons in a nail biter in week 16. Guys, I'm not huge on the Kansas City Chiefs as everybody else is at this moment. If you look at the last stats in the last 7 games with him as quarterback. So I would don't be shocked if we see an upset.
Moral of the story there, if you want to win a football game, clean your room. Eric, do you have a rebuttal?
Trayden's a liar because he said the Chiefs are going to win. So everything he just said was straight lies, and Chiefs are going to win.
That's your rebuttal? That's hilarious.
He lied, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning with 34 points and the Browns having 17. Eric, what do you think?
I actually think the same score, 34-17 Chiefs.
Very original. Alex, you?
Chiefs go off 45-28. Chiefs.
Trayden?
34-27 for the Chiefs.
Chiefs. And Tyler?
35-24 Chiefs.
Okay. Chiefs all the way around there. Moving on to our very last game of the playoff weekend. It's the number 2 seeded Buffalo Bills and number 5 seeded Baltimore Ravens. The Bills' offense was explosive. They had 397 yards. Josh Allen had 324 on his own. He also had 2 touchdowns and had 54 yards rushing. Stephon Diggs went off. He had 6 receptions for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. The Bills have a huge problem, and that's in their inability to run the ball outside of on a designed run. They had 42 yards and 10 total carries. Josh Allen alone had 12 more yards in their entire running back room. That being said, Zach Moss is also out. So he's 1B of that running back tandem. He's gone. There's your power. Now you're just left with elusiveness, and I don't know if that's going to get the job done against a really heavy and really good Baltimore Ravens run defense. One thing to look out for is Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. Look out for their health status. They enter the game with a questionable tag. So just monitor that throughout the week and see where they're at before game time. The Ravens, on the other hand, also had a very good offensive day. They had 401 total yards. 165 passing yards and 236 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson started off really slow passing the ball, but he started to heat up towards the end. He made throws when they needed to happen. He also had 16 Ks for 136 yards and a touchdown. Hollywood Brown is alive, ladies and gentlemen. He's out there. He's making plays. He made an impact for the first time all season long. He had 7 receptions for 109 yards and a touchdown. The key to this offense, though, in my opinion, is fullback Patrick Ricard. If he plays well, this offense does wonders. He's in there blocking all the time, and he also goes out for screens and passes. On defense, the Bills did pretty much nothing. They gave up 472 yards with 309 through the air against a Colts team that runs the ball. They made Phillip Rivers look like he was good again. That was crazy. The Bills, though, have a very elite safety tandem, but they can't do it all. So, Eric, there goes your argument of the safeties being the most important part of the team, because obviously
the Bills,
except for the Bills, right? They can't do it all though. And the fact of the matter is the Bills blitz a lot. They're a very aggressive defense, but they still ended up with 0 sacks on Phillip Rivers. Does that make any sense? No, it does not. If you blitz Lamar Jackson, he's going to exploit that blitz, find the hole, and run it for a touchdown every single time. So if you're going to blitz, make sure you hit the hole and you hit it hard. The Ravens defense, though, they looked elite. They looked really good. They held Derrick Henry to 40 yards and 18 carries, and this is the guy who averages 127 yards rushing per game. They held the Titans as a whole to 209 yards. Early on, Marlon Humphrey struggled against A.J. Brown, but really picked it up towards the end there. And Marcus Peters also had a pick. He and Marlon Humphrey need to play really, really well against this explosive Bills team because they have some great wide receivers there. Alex, big Josh Allen fan.
Yeah.
Why are the Bills going to win?
Yeah, so the Bills and the Ravens played last year, and what the Bills did phenomenally against an MVP Lamar Jackson was they did make him throw the ball. He ended up succeeding, and the Ravens did win that game, but this is an entirely different Bills team. If they can keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, and I know it's pretty much impossible, but limit his scrambles as much as possible, make him throw the ball, that Bills defense is good enough to stop Lamar Jackson in the air. He's still not that great of a throwing quarterback. He's just incredibly athletic. On the Bills side, on their offensive side, Josh Allen is a totally different quarterback this year compared to last year. He's probably going to garner some MVP votes. He is, when they played last year, he looked lost. The Ravens rushed him a lot. He was sacked quite a bit. He had a lot of dropbacks. He's a different player. He'll make better decisions. It helps that he and I are homies. And by homies, I mean he walked past me in a bar one time. So I fully believe that the Bills and Josh Allen can overcome that loss to the Ravens last year. It will be a great game, though.
Tyler, why is Alex wrong? Why are the Ravens going to win?
The Ravens are playing their best football at the right time right now. They're playing the best they've played all year. They won their last 5 regular season games. They looked great against the Titans last week. But the main reason is that this Ravens team is an extremely good running team, both with their running backs and with their quarterback. And the Bills defense on the running side of the ball is not that great. And that's going to be, I think, the biggest mismatch here in this whole game. Also, what's really interesting here, I think a really good part of the game to look at is the Bills lead the league in third down conversions, and the Ravens are second in the league in third down conversion stops. So that will be a really interesting part of the game to watch. I think that could be where the game is won or lost right there. Yeah. So I think the Ravens will do enough of a job. Like I said, I think they're coming in hot right now, and I think they're going to squeak past this Bills team.
Alex, you have a rebuttal?
Yeah. So on that third down thing, Tyler, have you ever tried to tackle Josh Allen? He's 6'5". Apparently, you're the most unathletic person on this podcast. So I can't tackle Josh Allen. The Ravens are not going to do a great job. He'll be able to get those, short third down conversions. And I think that's going to be part of the difference. Also, this has nothing to do with the final score of the game. But if we could have Stephon Diggs and Marcus Peters mic'd up and with no filter on, that would be much must watch, must listen, whatever. That would be phenomenal.
You should contact NFL Network. Just see what you can do.
Every
you guys are homies, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll let them know.
Yeah, get it going.
For sure. I have the Buffalo Bills winning this game 27-24. Alex, what do you think?
I got Bills 24, Ravens 20.
Traden?
Bills 40-37.
Oh, high scoring game. Well, that's crazy. Tyler?
Ravens 31, Bills 28.
And Eric?
34-14 Bills dominate.
Wow.
Okay.
Handedly.
That just about wraps up my segment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening and watching football this weekend. It's going to be good. It's good for you. Good for your body, good for your soul.